For generations, maps have depicted countless bodies of water, each categorized by distinct characteristics. Lakes are typically defined as inland, freshwater expanses. Seas, by contrast, are vast, saline, and connected to oceans. But what happens when a body of water defies these neat classifications? What if it possesses the scale of an ocean, the landlocked nature of a lake, and a unique salinity all its own? This is the enigma of the world's largest lake, a body of water so immense, its very identity has been a subject of rigorous scientific and geopolitical debate for centuries. This colossal inland body is known as the Caspian Sea. Situated at the crossroads of Europe and Asia, its sheer size immediately sets it apart. While commonly referred to as a sea, geological and hydrological evidence, as presented by numerous international research bodies like the United Nations Environment Programme, indicates it is, in fact, the largest lake on Earth by both surface area and volume. Its unique status stems from its landlocked nature, entirely disconnected from the global ocean system, a fact that profoundly shapes its ecology, economy, and political landscape. To grasp the Caspian scale, consider this: it stretches approximately 1,200 kilometers from north to south and averages 320 kilometers from east to west. Its surface area dwarfs that of many countries. According to data compiled by the U.S. Geological Survey, it measures roughly 371,000 square kilometers. Its volume is equally staggering, holding approximately 78,200 cubic kilometers of water, an amount estimated to be about 44% of all lake water on Earth. This makes it larger than the next 6 largest lakes combined. The debate over its classification, lake or sea, is not merely academic. It carries significant legal and economic implications. Geologists, as noted in peer-reviewed journals like Limnology and Oceanography, often point to its formation from an ancient ocean basin as an argument for sea. However, hydrologists, referencing its lack of outflow to the global ocean and distinct freshwater inputs, contend it aligns with the lake definition. The consensus among many international bodies leans towards lake due to its landlocked nature, yet the term Caspian Sea persists historically and culturally. The Caspian Sea is, in geological terms, a relict of the ancient Paratethys Sea, which itself was once connected to the Tethys Ocean millions of years ago. Tectonic shifts and changes in global sea levels gradually isolated this vast expanse of water, transforming it over millennia. Research published by the Geological Society of America illustrates how the uplifting of mountain ranges and subsequent crustal movements led to its complete separation. This geological lineage explains its considerable depth, with the southern basin reaching over 1,025 meters, making it one of the deepest lakes globally. Despite its historical connection to an ocean, the Caspian's water is distinctly brackish, with varying salinity levels. Unlike oceanic water, which averages around 3.5% salinity, the Caspian's northern parts, fed by major rivers, are almost fresh, while the southern basins can reach concentrations of about 1.3%. Studies by the Caspian Sea Environment Program detail how this gradient is maintained. Its closed basin means that water loss occurs primarily through evaporation, which concentrates salts. Without an outlet, the delicate balance of incoming river water and outgoing evaporation shapes its unique chemical profile. The Caspian Sea receives inflow from over 130 rivers, with the Volga River contributing approximately 80% of its total freshwater input. Other significant contributors include the Ural, Terek, Kara, and Emba rivers. Hydrological surveys, as reported by the Russian Geographical Society, underscore the critical role these rivers play in maintaining the Caspian's water balance and salinity levels. Disruptions to these river systems, whether from damming, irrigation, or climate change, have direct and profound impacts on the entire Caspian ecosystem, affecting everything from water levels to unique aquatic life. The Caspian Sea's isolation and unique environmental conditions have fostered a remarkable degree of endemism. It is home to a diverse range of flora and fauna found nowhere else on Earth. Biological surveys by the Worldwide Fund for Nature, WWF, highlight over 400 endemic species, including several types of fish, invertebrates, and even seals. The most iconic resident, however, remains the sturgeon. This ancient fish species, highly prized for its caviar, embodies the delicate balance of the Caspian ecosystem and its vulnerability to human impact. For centuries, the Caspian Sea has been synonymous with sturgeon and its prized delicacy, caviar. Historically, the Caspian region supplied the vast majority of the world's black caviar. This industry has been a significant economic driver for the bordering nations. However, the immense value of caviar also fueled rampant overfishing and illegal trade. Reports from the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora (CITES) documented a drastic decline in sturgeon populations, pushing several species to the brink of extinction and severely impacting the traditional fishing communities. Beneath the Caspian's waters lie vast reserves of oil and natural gas, transforming the region into a critical energy hub. Estimates from the U.S. Energy Information Administration, EIA, suggest the Caspian Sea basin holds approximately 48 billion barrels of oil and 292 trillion cubic feet of natural gas in proven and probable reserves. This subterranean wealth has attracted massive international investment, driving economic growth but also intensifying geopolitical rivalries and environmental risks. The extraction of these resources requires complex offshore infrastructure, posing constant challenges to the fragile marine environment. The presence of such vast energy reserves, coupled with the ambiguity of the Caspian's legal status, has fueled significant geopolitical tensions among the 5 littoral states: Azerbaijan, Iran, Kazakhstan, Russia, and Turkmenistan. The central dispute revolves around whether the Caspian should be treated as a lake or a sea for the purpose of resource demarcation. If a lake, international agreements would dictate equal division. If a sea, it would fall under maritime law, granting states exclusive economic zones. This fundamental disagreement has historically impeded resource development and environmental protection efforts. For decades, the absence of a comprehensive legal framework for the Caspian Sea created a legal vacuum, as described by analysts at Chatham House. International conventions like the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS, apply to oceanic bodies but not to closed seas or lakes. This meant that the rules for navigation, fishing rights, and, crucially, the exploitation of hydrocarbon resources remained largely undefined. Each littoral state asserted its own interpretation, leading to bilateral agreements and occasional standoffs, hindering regional stability and effective environmental governance. Beyond geopolitical struggles, the Caspian faces severe environmental challenges. One of the most critical is the significant fluctuation in its water levels. Historical data, documented by hydrological institutes across the region, show periods of dramatic rise and fall, primarily driven by climate change impacting river inflow and evaporation rates. A sustained drop in recent decades has led to receding coastlines, exposing seabed, damaging port infrastructure, and threatening coastal wetlands vital for migratory birds and fish spawning grounds. This natural variability is now compounded by anthropogenic factors. Pollution constitutes another grave threat to the Caspian's fragile ecosystem. Industrial runoff from cities and factories, agricultural chemicals carried by rivers, and direct discharges from oil and gas operations contaminate its waters. Reports from the Caspian Sea Environment Program, CSEP, have identified heavy metals, pesticides, and petroleum hydrocarbons as major pollutants. The closed nature of the basin means pollutants accumulate over time, impacting water quality, fish stocks, and the overall health of its unique biodiversity, including the endangered Caspian seal. The environmental and geopolitical pressures on the Caspian Sea directly impact the millions of people living along its shores. Fishing communities face dwindling catches due to overfishing and pollution. Port cities grapple with rising or falling water levels affecting trade and infrastructure. Local populations reliant on traditional livelihoods often find their way of life threatened. Sociological studies by regional universities document increased economic insecurity and forced migration in some areas, highlighting the human cost of environmental degradation and unresolved resource disputes. For nearly 3 decades following the dissolution of the Soviet Union, attempts to reach a comprehensive agreement on the Caspian's status were largely unsuccessful. Conferences and negotiations often stalled due to fundamental disagreements, particularly between Iran, which advocated for equal division of the seabed, and other states favoring median line principles. Historical diplomatic records show that a lack of consensus paralyzed effective environmental management and resource development, leaving the Caspian vulnerable to uncoordinated national policies and a continued decline in its ecological health. In 2018, after more than 2 decades of negotiations, the 5 littoral states signed the Convention on the Legal Status of the Caspian Sea in Aktau, Kazakhstan. This landmark agreement, hailed by many as a diplomatic triumph, establishes principles for cooperation, security, and environmental protection. As reported by news agencies like Reuters and AP, it designates the Caspian as neither a sea nor a lake but a special legal status body, allowing for common navigation and fishing but dividing seabed resources based on bilateral agreements. It's a step, but not a full resolution. Despite the 2018 convention, many challenges persist. The agreement provides a framework but leaves key issues, such as the full demarcation of seabed boundaries and specifics of resource exploitation, to future bilateral negotiations. The environmental threats of climate change, pollution, and dwindling biodiversity remain urgent. Environmental scientists from the Caspian Environmental Watch emphasize that continued monitoring and robust international cooperation are vital. The Caspian Sea, a geological marvel and an ecological treasure, stands at a critical juncture, its future intertwined with human diplomacy and environmental stewardship.